Mining update, lesson about the industry and job hunt video. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and in today's video we're going to run through the prices. We're going to do a lesson about the industry. We're going to talk about, are you trying to get a mining job without knowing what's involved with that job? If so, are you just setting yourself up for failure? So we'll talk about all that, and then we'll do a job hunt video using all our normal titles that we use. But first, let's go and have a look at the prices. And gold made another record high again over the weekend, and so it went through $2,600 US an ounce, and it's almost $4,000 Australian. And again, this is the jewelry price, so this is what you'd pay if you had to go down to the Perth Mint and buy an ounce of gold at the moment. So there's a premium on that, on what the spot price is. The spot price ended up at about $3,851, so you've got to pay extra when you go and get it from the mint, but that's the only way you can get it, so that's the price that I use. So if we have a look at iron ore, it's $91.93, so that's holding about where it was before, around that pattern, but there's every chance that that's going to drop a little bit more as we move forward towards Christmas, according to all the experts. And the coal market is at $114 a tonne US, which is sort of holding its own, but compared to where it used to be to where it is at the moment, it's not that wonderful, and that's why there's not that many coal mining jobs around when you have a look at it all. So if we have a look at our map with all our mines around the country that are gold mines and base metal mines that are going into the battery, so there's lots of stuff all over the place. And yeah, if you want to get a job, the easiest way to get in is to learn how it all works. And it really does never cease to amaze me in the amount of people that jump into it without knowing how it all works and what's going on and what they're getting themselves into and all that sort of stuff. They just go and they decide they want to go mining, and they just start applying for all these jobs, and then when they get to site they discover what mining is. And the amount of people that I've seen fail doing that over the years is just, you know, phenomenal. It's, yeah, you lose track after a while. They just go through so many people, and it's because, you know, they jump into it without knowing what's going on. So if you want to learn how it all works, come over to the Underground Training website and you buy one of the packages that we've got. Then you'll end up getting sent a link, and that will bring you back to your account. And I've got mine open up as the mining coach, and we'll just jump into basic mine site operation, the first course to start with, and then you can go down and do the modules. We can jump in wherever we want at the moment because it's all opened up because we've completed it all. As you go through it, you just tick it all off, and then when you complete it, you can go back through it as many times as you want to study it. And what I mean by teaching you how it all works is it just goes through and it shows you exactly what you're going to be dealing with, like with the ground support, how it works with mesh and bolts and shotcrete. And it's got videos in it to show you how it all works and the different types of bolts, so chemical bolts and cable bolts. And it just goes through how it all works, and it just gives you a really good idea of what you're getting yourself into. And it's so you're not getting it all for the first time when you actually get to site. Because one of the biggest problems that we used to see people have, and people still have, is the information overload. You get there and they just pump you full of information, and it's not a lot of information. It's probably 50 hours worth of information to learn, and that's why the training takes about 50 hours to do. But it's that specific information that you've got to know, and you have to learn it. And people just don't pick it up that well the first time that they do it, and they need constant reminding of what's going on and using the right terms. And so you really need to find somebody that you like, or somebody that likes you, to actually put that effort into you to make sure that you're doing the right thing. Because out of 100 people, you know, there's only probably 5 to 10 people that are ducks to water with this. The rest of everybody, out of the other 90 people, you'll probably get another 30 that will find somebody that will help them, and they'll make a friend and they'll get pumped through, and then the other 60 fail. It just is what it is, and that's why there's so many job ads around, and there's a constant flow of the job ads from the same employers over and over again. It's just because they just pump people through, and it's just, they go in not knowing how it all works, and it's one of the inspirations why I helped out with the training and participated in writing the training back in the day, because it was just so obvious as a shift boss that one of the downfalls that people have when they get to site is that they get rushed through all the training, and then they get put in the hot seat and they just don't get it. If they had the time and the opportunity to study it all before they came to site, and they could work through it at their own time and pace, then that it would be a huge advantage for them. But the mining companies can't do that. Their hands have been tied. They've got to be able to prove in a court of law that they've trained everybody on their individual sites. And so that means that every time you go to a site, you spend a week to 3 weeks, depending on the company, sometimes even longer with some of the bigger companies, doing paperwork. And you're doing your inductions, you're doing your site equipment tickets, you're doing your procedures, you're going through the whole lot. And that's all the paperwork that the company needs to have in place so they can look at a judge if something goes wrong and say they've done everything they can to train you. And that's why the system's set up like it is, and that's why there's so many jobs around. And if you are going to try and get into the industry, then I implore you that you actually go through and do the training before you jump into it, because this is where all the jobs are. This is what you've got to know. It teaches you how it all works. It goes through it all in a comprehensive manner. And you can go into the nippering side of things in this one. And we talk about the different types of nipper duties and all that sort of stuff. So it goes through all of it, what you can be expected to do. It talks about the job. It talks about talking to the crew, all that sort of stuff. It just goes through everything that you need to know, dropping the crew's crib off, general running around. It's all great advice about what you can do to make sure that you do a good job, rigging the jumbo up and down. It's just everything that the employers want you to know about how it all works. And that's what, they want. They want you to know what's going on so when they can throw you in the deep end. And the easiest way to learn it is to learn it before you go. And I see so many people just go, I want a mining job, and they get there and they go, holy shit, if that's mining, I don't want to do this anymore. And the other thing is too, that if you jump in and you don't like it, then you end up spending a month of your life, you turn yourself on your head, and it costs you significant money. I saw on a post the other day on a Facebook page, somebody was saying that they had 2 opportunities to get into the mining industry, and it sort of didn't work out for them, and it cost them like $15,000, and people couldn't understand how it would possibly cost $15,000. It's pretty easy, to see how, if you know how the industry works and what happens when it doesn't work out for you. Because often when it doesn't work out for you, they don't pay you much money. They end up keeping a lot of it, because when you sign up for it, if you don't make your probation period, there's all sorts of stuff that they can do to recoup all the costs, or some of the costs that they've done with training, and often they take it out of your last wages. It just is what it is. It's not a pleasant experience when you don't make it in the mining industry, and unfortunately, it's more than 50% fail in their first mining job when you go into the production mining side of things, or the drillers offsiders side of things. It's hard to get a read on the failure rate with shutdown work and civil work, because that's all temporary work and they're not full-time jobs like the mining jobs are. It's hard to get a read on that. But in the production side of things, they just run through people. And if you go over to Seek and you type underground in, you'll see all the jobs come up, and their underground truck, underground nipper, see $500 a shift on a 2-in-1 roster. That's $119,000 a year. Not bad for they want experienced people, but they're going to have to take entry-level people for those jobs, because there just isn't anybody with experience around. That's why there's so many of these job ads up there. And if you come over to Surface and you type Surface in and give it a spin, then you'll see that it's, again, I used to say back in the day it used to be full of truck driving jobs, but now it's full of diamond driller offsider jobs, as you can see. And if you've watched any of the videos along the way, you'll see it's all the same employers looking for the same people over and over again, just because they need people. And then if we put truck driver mining in, and if you used to do this back in the day, it used to be full of coal jobs, because that used to be where, all they wanted, all the truck drivers, or iron ore jobs on the surface and coal truck driving jobs on the surface. Now it's full of underground truck jobs. As you can see, there's a few coal jobs on the surface around the place, but they just want experienced people, and there's a couple of experienced iron ore mines that are looking for people, but they're poaching from some of the people that have been let go. But all the entry-level stuff, it's all underground, and they just need people, unfortunately, from the employer's perspective, to drive the trucks underground. And anybody that's got 12 months underground truck driving experience and they've got a bit of go in them, they're not looking to be a truck driver anymore. They're looking to be service crew or pace crew or something like that, because that pays 30 grand a year more than what they're getting on the truck. It's as simple as that. And if we jump over to Diamond Driller Offsider, you'll see there's lots of offsiding jobs going around. And again, if you've watched the videos back and go back and watch through them, I think this is the 14th one of these ones that I've done in this series at the moment, so you can have a good look back and have a look. It's the same employers like Swick, looking again and again, over and over, for people all around the country. And it's nothing to do with them. They've got some strict rules that they've got to follow. So if you don't do any training on your own bat before you go in, it's all company training. And whenever you do company training for the first time round, it doesn't matter which industry it is, there's always a high turnover rate, and the more pressure that gets ramped on, the more people they turn over. So, it's not surprising that they turn over more than 50% of people in these jobs. And the last one that we look at is the utility job. So if we have a look at that one again and give it a spin, you'll see there's a few jobs around. There's a few little ones that are going around the place. There's some offers of some reasonable money, but that's sort of the money that you'll be on if you start as a utility operator on a 2-in-1. So it's about 82,000 compared to the same roster with an entry-level truck driving role, making $450 or $500 a shift. You're going to be looking at that 115 to 120, and it's the same with the drillers offsiders roles. They're all up around the 120 mark now for an entry-level role. And you can see 85,000 to 90,000 there on the utility. But yeah, there's been a few mines shut down, so they got a few people to choose from. But yeah, like anything else, experienced people are a bit thin on the ground with all these entry-level jobs, and so the employers just have to keep on advertising and keep on pumping people through. And it's not pretty, but it's the way the industry works. And I sort of think that if people jump into this stuff without actually doing any research or actually learning about the job that they're going to do, they're setting themselves up for failure. And it's not hard to learn how to do the job and learn what's going to be involved in it all. You can have a look at the DIY package. It's $495. And even if you're coming from another area of the industry, like a surface offsiding, and you want to go underground truck driving or something like that, then this is perfect for you. Spend the $495. You've got the you can write it off against tax, because you're just moving from one area of the industry to the other. And it educates you to everything that they need you to know, so you can actually hold a conversation with them. And when you can talk to them about refuge chambers and stench gas and cap lamp signals and everything else that they need you to know to leave you alone, it changes the goalposts, because it means that they're going to be able to get you up to speed a lot quicker, and they're going to be able to get a productive bum in a seat. Because what everybody's after for all these jobs is actually somebody that can sit in the truck or nipper independently by themselves, that you can give a plod to at the start of the day and give them a run sheet, and you tell them what the jobs they've got to do, and then just check on them like any other normal person, and not have to babysit them. When you've got somebody that's working for you in a dangerous environment like a mine site, and you feel like you have to keep eyes on them constantly because you're worried that they're going to hurt themselves or hurt somebody else, then there's only a certain amount of time that you give that person to get themselves right and into shape, because otherwise it just becomes too stressful for everybody involved. And I think that's what people don't get about getting into mining, especially the big money production jobs and where you start, and the nippers and the truck rolls and the offsider rolls and that sort of stuff, and aggies and all that. Is that, there's a lot of pressure involved, and it's sink or swim, and you need to do everything you can to give yourself an advantage before you jump in the water. And the easiest way to give yourself an advantage is to learn how it all works before you go. And like I said, the DIY can do that for you. If you want help with your resume, there's a 3-step plan, and Jess will help you with your resume. Or if you want help with everything, then you can get somebody like myself as a shift boss to help you with the work ready package that they do. So I hope that information helps. Reason I didn't do it yesterday is over here in WA, it's a long weekend. We've got our long weekend early over here, so I had a few commitments yesterday, so I am rolling it out on the Monday instead of the Sunday. So sorry about that if anybody was waiting on it. I did post a video yesterday. I've got few more good videos to post during the week that Jess and I have already done. But if anybody's got anything that they'd like us to talk about, please send it through. And if you could share the video around and like and subscribe the channel. Thanks.